Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to the Sharon the Red Baron Show. I am Sharon with my special guest, Keliann, that I'm so excited to interview. I just want to go over why I created this channel is because we're in the Great Awakening and millions of people all over the world know it, they feel it, and they're in it. And I'm just so intrigued by everyone's personal stories, whether it's, leaving the Mormon church, Catholic church, it's a political awakening, a spiritual, whatever it is. I'm recognizing and I'm realizing that we're all going through something, and I just love it. So some people like to golf and crochet and all that. My hobby, I love to interview people. So thank you, Keliann. I appreciate you being here.
You're welcome. I'm excited.
Awesome. Cool. This is going to be a good one, I can tell. So you and I had already chatted before we went live here, but the one thing that I always love to ask people is, are you a believer in signs, and why?
In signs?
Signs as in signs and synchronicities.
I grew up seeing them. Even as a little girl, I always knew stuff and I always saw things, and I saw angels, I saw orbs, and I just always everything. Yeah, I really believe in it. And like I say, I channel, and the guides, they tell me if I'm not listening or seeing the signs, boy, they come and knock me at the side of the head and say, hey, you're not paying attention.
Yeah. Can I ask you, was there something, in the beginning when you just started to, well, that pretty much sums it up, but was there something in particular in the beginning of your journey about signs that just was like, boom, you just couldn't deny it? Do you have a quick example to share with us?
Well, I think I was raised with it, so I didn't understand what I was really seeing. Um, it's kind of difficult because the way I do things, it's not necessarily, and like I would say, okay, for instance, like when I was into this, it's like when I didn't feel my angels, I say, show me a sign, show me a
Mm-hmm.
feather really with me. I would test them in that way.
Yep.
Sure enough, I see feathers till this day in my house and everywhere. So that was one
I
of the
love
big,
it.
I wanted to test my stuff, and test them. And so I
I
said,
love it.
and I was told they'd be feathers. And every time I turn around, and I still have feathers all over my house that I pick up outside.
I
Just,
love
and
it.
we're still here. We didn't go anywhere.
That's so awesome. Mine, when I ask for signs, I always receive heart-shaped rocks. And there's one out here. That's a whole nother story, but we can get into that on a personal level. But so thank you for opening up and sharing your story about leaving the Mormon church, because that's our main focus here. I feel like so many people are having that aha moment where, as much as they want to believe, I mean, they're still going to believe, but just certain things don't add up. And that's what I'm finding with these interviews. I am just intrigued by them. And what was your aha moment and something was wrong that didn't feel right with you?
Well, I was always the rebel gypsy person when I was growing up, and my dad was like the bishopric and the high council and all of that stuff. And so
Really?
I had to conform to everything. And I would
Okay.
rebel. Remember, I was in the high school dance team, and we had a halter top outfit, and I came out to have
Mhm.
my mom in it, and my dad yelled at me to get in that house. You're not to be out here without a bra. And it was more, he was so he believed in it and it made him happy, so he wanted everyone else to be doing that as well. I
Mhm.
raised with a prescription addict mother, so what's the difference
Oh,
of a heroin and a prescription? The control, the manipulation. Then I had my dad shoving the church down my throat, telling me that if I don't go to church that day, they'll take my car away from me. So that I was so conditioned. There was no unconditional love. So I rebelled
oh, I'm
when I
very
got
sorry. Sorry. That must have been rough. I mean, so it started at an early age, is what you're saying. You
and
recognize that it didn't
right,
feel organic or loving. Is that?
not at all. And it was just, you do what I say, you're whatever.
Yeah.
And it happened when I got 19, I got pregnant. And my mom called me a slut. And I
Oh,
was, either you marry or you give the baby up for adoption. I was 19. And back then, 19 was young. you
Yeah.
know?
And you were just a child yourself, not even knowing.
And so that was a big traumatizing too. You know, the bishops saying you can't do this, you know, you're bad. And I think, well, oh, let me rewind too. I think the one of the traumatizing when you're 13 and have those interviews with those old men and
Mm.
questions. Have you ever heard of these interviews?
No, please tell us. I want to hear. This is juicy.
And when you turn like seventh grade, 13, you go in to have an interview with the bishop and they
Mhm.
ask you, you're clean. Have you fornicated? Have you masturbated? They ask you all this.
Are you serious?
Look into this. There
All
was a
right, wait. I don't mean, I just got to say something real quick. I'm from New Hampshire, the live free or die state. We're like diehards out there. If I told them, well, they're going to be seeing a lot of these videos, I can assure you, probably every single one of my girlfriends would be like, fuck off. Excuse
right.
my language. I shouldn't have said that. That's improper. That's very improper. Just me personally.
Naive, you know. I didn't even know what masturbation was or fornication. And I think they finally said, well, it's padding. I understood what padding was, but you got to realize I'm 62 years old. This is
Mhm.
this was in the 70s, you know, and they still have those interviews, but at least the parents get to go with the kids. But this guy
Okay,
was,
that's good.
you know, the old man, and they asked you, do you sin? Do you do this? Do you drink? Do you, you know, everything? And every year you had to have
It's
one of
pretty
these.
much like you're on trial. They just want to know the good and the bad and see how.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I remembered that first guy because that guy was the one that he was, because I was so intuitive. His energy was horrible. He wasn't in his heart. He was more that pound, you know, pounded in you. And
Rules,
so
rules, rules. Yeah.
I scared of him anyway. And I remember
Oh, I'm so sorry.
just shaking so hard. So that was the one thing that I didn't
And you were
understand.
what age again?
13.
Oh, never mind. You're already in an uncomfortable, like your body's changing, and no one likes to talk about that. And they're calling you out on that. That is, for me
Yeah.
personally, I find that kind of creepy and making it even more uncomfortable.
They have it. You can go on the internet and because I remember when I first got married, Larry was not Mormon. And I had him read those things, the interviews, and it's just insane. So it was
It didn't
crazy.
resonate that it was proper.
It was just pervs. And so as
It could
time
have
went,
been a grooming session too.
yeah,
Not any disrespect to people that are watching this and down the road. I don't mean any disrespect, but I think we all are aware that there are certain creepers within our religious. It happens. You hear about it all the time. And if people want to look the other way and be like, oh, well, join the Great Awakening because you're going to find out lots of good stuff. But I digress. I'm sorry, Keliann.
I don't know, you're
Wow.
so I got married and it was just hell and it's just what it is. You just did what you had to do. And that's why I came from a family of not spiritual. It was like you did what you have to do. You do the scriptures, you do it. It's by the book, the letter of law. It wasn't about heart. I didn't understand heart. And I was the first of four girls. And so, of course, I'm the first one. So when I was 24, I got divorced and I wanted to make my parents happy. So when I was
Mhm.
24, I got divorced and did everything right. Found the return missionary, got married in the temple, and had
Mhm.
another baby. And I went to Arizona. And out here it was for show. You know, I want everyone to see what I'm doing. But Arizona, I didn't have
Like
to put
everyone does on their
yeah,
social media that you've already been groomed to do. It's like, hi, I just posted something on my timeline yesterday. Please look at the video. It's these women trying to take the perfect selfie, and they're all hilarious, by the way. But yeah, we've been groomed to do that. So,
so I went to Arizona, ended up getting pregnant, and I wanted to come home. So I went back to my first husband because he really, really loved me. But he wasn't in the church. He didn't want to be in the church. Family wasn't in the church.
Can I ask you how your parents felt about that if he wasn't in the church?
Yeah, that's the problem too, was when every time I dated or brought a friend home, I was always, are they Mormon? Are they Mormon? If
Mhm.
not, I date them and I couldn't do whatever. So
Mhm.
Phil, he was baptized because back then everybody was baptized. You just got
Mhm.
no matter what, even if you were active. So what they tried to do is get him into the church.
Mhm.
I'd make him go to church with me, try to get him whatever, and he just couldn't do it. And so
And
that's
I can
why
understand when people really are firm believers in God and all that, but it's kind of like everyone needs to find it when it's good for them, not pushed on them, is the way that I feel.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And so I went to Arizona and I came back to him and pregnant and all. Well, my mom found out because we'd gone through the temple and now I'm taking my garments off. I was done with the church and whatever.
Can you
And
explain what taking your garments off means
the garments you wear
for
because it's
people?
protection from Satan. And if you don't wear them, you're not protected from Satan. And you have long to your knees, clear up to your shoulders. Like they used to be one piece, now they have two pieces, but it's just a protection against Satan, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the church about or in the temple and promise this and promise that. And so when you take them off, then it means, oh my God, Satan's going to get you.
Satan ain't gonna get me, I can tell you that right now.
Right. Then
That's within, but
yeah,
wow.
my found out and she came to my house and disowned me. She says, I disown you. I'm done. I disown you. Christmas is coming. I had a little 3-year-old. She says, you can bring your daughter, but as far as you're concerned, I want nothing to do with you.
I
So
am so sorry. This is the hardest thing for me to understand, hearing stories like you. Your own family disses you. And what I think people really need to start understanding is just that if our God is a loving God, he is not going to tell you to do that to your family. He's not. So
right.
that's the strike one that they have, that I have with them. I am so sorry.
So as time went on, I was in and out of the church because when I was out, I didn't have family. I didn't have friends. Nobody would accept you. Your neighbors were all Mormon. I mean, I think we had one in the whole class of my um, elementary school that wasn't Mormon. Everyone was Mormon. Everyone. And so if you didn't conform, then they didn't. I remember
You weren't
living
accepted in their group, so to speak, and they're alienating people.
when I was in Florida. I had a lot of people say, if you're not Mormon, don't move to Utah because your kids will not have any friends. Yeah,
I did, although I'm a grown up version. I've never moved out of the state, so yeah.
I'll change. When I moved back here, I swear I'd never move back here again because of it. And about 4 years ago, my son graduated college and he flew me out here. And he says, Mom, it's not what it was when you were growing up. There's so much diversity. There's so much people that have come in from out of the state. He goes, I want you to sit here and I want you to feel the energy. We were in the city. We were in Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to feel that. Does this feel Mormon to you? And I'm like, oh. He says, it's not what it used to be, Mom. That's not going to destroy you like it did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how that started. But like I said, I was kind of in and out of church. And I finally went back and I got married in the temple again and moved to Florida. And when I moved to Florida, the church was so different than Utah. Totally different.
Like how?
Well, because they're not as judgmental, they're not entitlement, they're more loving, they're more kind, because it wasn't all Mormon. So we kind of had to stick together as a family because that's all we had was this small group of friends and Mormons.
Mm-hmm.
So we all kind of was loving, and I lived on the beach side, and
Nice.
because we had to travel to over the beach out of the island. But they would never come over. The church members would never hardly come over to the island. We all had to stick together. There's like 3 and 4 of us on the island. And so I worked in the temple and did all that. Oh, let's see. Let me rewind. Before I went to Florida, I got married, and well, right after I was married the first time and had Tiffany, I was a member of sexual abuse.
Tiffany, like Tiffany Blue.
There
Love
was
it.
sexual memory that showed up. And so come to find out it was my dad's cousin had sexually abused me, and he was kind of retarded, and so he had problems.
Wait. Can you repeat that? Say that one more time.
I found a vision came to me, a memory, and I saw being sexually abused
How
by
old
my
were you? By who? You cut out by your dad.
cousin. I was 3 at the time when it all started happening.
So sorry. But he was mentally,
Yeah, and stuff. And then there was another memory, and I told my mom it was a really good friend of theirs that was doing our fireplace. And I ran to her work and I told her, and she said, I believe you because he's in jail right now for doing the same thing. Now, these people are Mormon. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's that.
But if
So,
he had a mental disability,
right. So I kind of, but the other one didn't.
was it what was it? Could you tell he had a mental
Oh, yeah.
visibility?
Was born premature back then. They had to put him in an oven because they didn't have incubators at that time because he's, you know, he was like 20 years older than me.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
It's better. That's just minimal. So I'm in Florida, married, going through the temple, did the temple things. My son is gay. Okay. So that I knew he was gay the day he was born. I've always accepted him. He did go to church. He tried to do the church thing. He came out to me when he was 14. I'm like, I already know.
I'd love to encourage him. I got to hook him up with one of my interviewers. Same thing. I mean, sorry.
So um, anyway, so and he's very intuitive and very gifted. So it was on Valentine's night, and I was in my bedroom laying there, and I got the vision
What happened?
of my mom's dad sexually abusing me. Now he's a patriarch. He'd been on the missions. He was really powerful in the church. And I just started crying, and I cried and I cried, and I called my dad's sister, who was really good friends of mine, or she's really close, and I cried to her. And I remember her reading a scripture and said something about he will be punished. I can't remember the scripture, but
So
that was
sorry. How
difficult.
old? So how old would
So it went on from time I was 3 to I was 13.
how does and I hope I can say this with an open heart without how did you forget about that? I would think that
When a trauma happens in a person, they forget about it. They shove it's a personality they shove out because they can't handle it.
that makes sense.
And that's when we do our work, like Larry's a shaman, my husband, he brings these traumas in to heal. We don't have to look at the trauma, but if there's a trauma, let's look at the energy, let's remove it, and let's get rid of it.
You know, I'm glad that you brought that up because the one thing that I have found over the years going down the rabbit hole, I mean, people can look this up on our government website. I mean, all this stuff about your chakras, your energy field, all of it, it's very real. They just disguised it as quote unquote fantasy in your movies and entertainment so that people wouldn't believe it. But they're going to use it for the big picture to explain this to you. But I digress. Gosh, Kelly,
My mom, she's been doing drugs quite a bit in that time, and we're back to
well,
Florida.
isn't that against
No,
the religion?
it's prescription. It comes from a doctor.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's from a doctor.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
that synthetic stuff you put in your body. Yeah, I'm paying top dollar.
at 3 times of thousands of dollars for treatment 3 times. And then he go to the doctor and say, I I got to get her out. Oh, I can't do anything as long as she says she's in pain. I will give her oxycontin, which was the worst of the worst, right?
Can't even imagine being addicted to that for that. Oh my gosh.
So I was so excited that she got help. And so they decided to come to Florida and visit for like
Mhm.
2, from like November till January. My mom and dad flew out there, and we were watching a football game, college football, Tim Tebow, the Gators. And he had a scripture underneath his eyes. So I said, let's look that up and see what that means. So
Now, when you say, oh, okay, you're not doing numerology or gematria, you're
no,
just looking at the actual, That's a cue and a clue. Everyone, yeah.
So I looked it up, and Bob, my husband, got something, and I got something, and my dad started screaming, "You're wrong. I'm right, and you are wrong." I'm like, well, why?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's that mentality when people do that. It's like, how insecure are you that you have to drill this in my head when I can't think for myself? Okay. It's like our government.
Really interesting because he was like fanatically saying he was right and we were wrong because it goes in course with the Book of Mormon, the Bible. Together you do this and that, and Bob and I are just looking at each other. So then I started questioning more when he was there, and I had church books, and he started slamming those church books on my table. Read this, read that, this is wrong, blah 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 blah. So then I'm really thinking, what the hell, this isn't Christ-like stuff. So
Yeah. Oh my
um,
gosh.
what happened was Proposition 8 came out. You know what
Can you
that is?
explain that? No, could you explain it?
That DVD and watch this. So that March, let's see, that July, my son and my his really good friend comes out and sees me in Florida. And they're
Mhm.
like, you know about Proposition 8? And I'm like, what is Proposition 8?
Is
And
that
my
another rule or something that
better. It gets real. I watched it again before I had this interview to refresh my memory.
wow, thank you for
And
doing that.
as was they were trying to in California um have the gay marriages be legal. And the church fought it.
Mhm.
They brought the politics in the church when they're not supposed to. They helped raise money. They went to their people and said, we need money. People were giving them their kids college for money to stop this law from going into effect. They
Love
had
is love, though. You know what I mean?
and they had these people outside the temple, and the security people, the protesters, were beating the hell out of them in front of the temple. They have cameras. And I mean, it's a DVD and it's Proposition 8, and it ended up passing, but I think they overturned it. But what they went through, there was a lot of suicides, especially in Utah, because they were
I've
told they,
heard they pop the pills and do the soda.
yeah.
Is that a
And
slang term that they say? They pop the soda and the pills. I
yeah,
mean,
there was so much suicidal in that way because they're trying to pass it. And the church was saying, this is not of God, this is not of God, and this is not of God. And the controversy was horrible. And I was in Florida, so I didn't hear it because it was mainly California, I think Wyoming, Utah were coming together. And these people were literally going broke to pay the church money to stop this law. When in the church, because they are what, C3 or whatever, they're not supposed to do that. Politics. They don't pay taxes.
yes, that's a
I
very valid point that I have a
they
problem with that as well.
yeah, showed the books, how they came up with lots of money, and it was breaking the people because they did what God said. The prophet says we need your money. And because I said, why did you go broke? Just the people that left the church after this. He says, because we do what the prophet says. We follow the prophet's voice. We do what they tell us. And they broke these people, literally. He would say, this is what I want you to pay. And they would write down the amount. So I
It
turned
blows
and
my mind how government and school and religion all, and then it makes you wonder why. Why are they all entangled together? Because in my own mind, religion really is separate. It's already within us. But I don't government and school have nothing to do with religion per se. However, I am a believer that if someone wants to practice their religion in school, that's okay. I
right,
mean, it's their belief and that's okay. But wow.
then I was done. Then I was done. I am done. I don't want to be a part of this. I was devastated. I was in Florida, so I could have friends.
Yeah.
And
You
it
weren't
was
judged
yeah,
by people around here, so to speak, that kept putting you down. I am so sorry for all that.
everyone come from the church trying to say, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? Don't leave. You're gonna go to hell, and blah blah
You're not going
blah.
to go to hell. Everyone that has left, they know that they're not going to hell, and they have found that out and figured it out all on their own.
Right. Well,
The
so
ones
then
that I've talked to, at least. So,
so I took my name off the temple, the church records.
how did that go?
So my daughter came out and visited, I think the next March after she had a baby. She says, let's do this. Let's start take our names off. And
Oh.
so I took my name off. And I'll tell you what, because I'm so energetic and vision and intuitive, I felt like 100% relief.
I can't even imagine. Did it literally feel like you could breathe and you got these bricks off your shoulders and just light as a feather? I've been hearing that a lot. People are just like, I never thought I could feel this way. It was just beautiful.
My intuitive gifts came even stronger because I know at one time I was doing this the readings and stuff, and I was still a Mormon, and my dad says, you know, if you open up the veil, it's not just the light you're going to let on, you're going to let in the darkness. You need to close that down. I said,
No,
Dad,
as long as you learn how to learn how to keep, I mean, it's a real thing. People can do it without the church. It's already within you. Sorry, I digress, Keliann.
that was constantly. And then it was funny because one time I did a reading through his mother channeled. She channeled through me. And my dad looked at me and he said, how did you know that? And I said, that's my gift, Dad. And my dad's very intuitive too. I mean, he even talked about in our basement, we had a dark entity that he literally fought. I mean, this guy gets up in church and speaks through the spirit. He never wrote anything down. He was so intuitive. But then it was only the priesthood holders can do that, not the women. Only the prophet gets the visions. Not anybody else can get a vision. I'm like, Dad, I don't know what to tell you. And down the road,
Wow.
and I still think I was still in the church, that his best friend from when he grew up had passed on, and he wanted to do a memoir for his family. I challenged that. And my dad was okay with that then. Now he understood it, you know? So
Wow.
I left the church. I went back to visit, and I know my dad thought I was going to be Satan, and I was going to be dark, and I was going to be depressed. When I came back full of light, he couldn't believe.
Right?
Yeah, he said, he just stared at me, and he
It's like
goes,
you're
"You're
glowing.
yes, I'm glowing." You know, I do carry
How did
the light,
I know?
and people walk into the room with their psychic, they can see my light. It's really bright. For a long time, I'm like, no, you can't. No, 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 no. And now I understand all that. So as a two
Yes.
was, he understood that. And he just looked at me and he goes, you're happy. And I have never been this happy in my whole life. The depression's gone.
Oh, Keliann. Oh my gosh.
I am so happy.
That's what I'm running into with a lot of these people in the interviews. They've blocked, they've actually faced that the fear of not having people anymore. And that they're like, I'm totally fine without you, because if that's if you're supposed to be my friends and you treat me that way, I got a problem and I'm out of here. And they just start doing the internal work. And just like you said, they're just shining their light. I love this. But
Because my mom's family, they're the type that did everything like they were supposed to. They did
mhm.
book, whatever. My dad's family is in their heart. I remember when I got pregnant, my aunt Carol came to my dad, and they, because my parents were devastated, and she says, you know what? Just because she got caught, who out there doing it and haven't gotten caught? Your daughter got caught.
It's
So
just
what?
like a lot of priests and bad people out there doing bad things in the pedophilia rings and our human trafficking, as long as they don't get caught,
Right. So
same
I went
thing.
on my dad's side, and I was talking to them, and we had a family thing when I was visiting in town. And Anita and I were really close, and her husband, they're very heart, very Christ-like, very church, no judgment. And we were talking about my family, and I go, well, it's just because of this, and it's because of that. And he said, and they turned to me and said, Keliann, what do you think Christ is? And I said, loving, kind, compassionate. Does your family have that? What?
Ding, 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 ding. Did the light bulb go off? You're like, you just won $1 million. That's like the $1 million question right there.
And out there, but I had a Christ, I had visions from Christ. He's come to
Oh,
me,
I
and
believe it. I received my own
so
and they're off
yeah.
the charts. Yep. Real.
And it was so powerful when they said that. And he goes, there is no, they have the walls have temples on them and churches on them and Christ. They don't have Christ. There's no Christ. I just was, and this is after I left the church. And it
Mhm.
was, oh my God, you are absolutely right. There is no Christ. There is no love. There's my sisters betrayed me. Came after me. Like they still, I haven't even talked to them. I finally have shed it all.
I'm
I
sorry.
moved to Utah like 4 years ago, and I know this is why I came back to finally heal all that family crap, get
Yep.
rid of it. Why? Because my sisters were just, my mom
Brutal.
at it. She played us against each other. So
Oh,
she would go to one
your
sister.
own parent. I mean, this is what I'm just talking to viewers. Think
Yeah.
about this, guys. If they're pitting your family against you, I mean, internally, is that even right? I am so
Let me,
sorry.
this
So do
is a,
you?
yeah, I just got told this one story and then you'll understand.
Yeah.
Visiting, it was my dad's birthday. And I was in talking to my dad and I was crying. I was having some things and my mom comes in and her sister's on the phone to wish my dad a happy birthday. And my dad said, later, I'll call her back. I need to help Kel right now. We're kind of going
But
through some
I'm
stuff.
really proud that you still were in touch with your dad, though. He didn't
I,
exile you or anything.
we've been
What was,
in
oh, you cut out. I'm sorry. What was that?
touch until this last 3 years. I finally cut my parents off. My sister's a long time ago. So I told my mom,
Oh, good for
and
you.
I didn't push her out. I just kind of turned around. I said, Mom, he'll call back. Well, she called all my sisters and told her that I threw her out of the room and I
Oh,
pushed her. And my sisters came after me. And I didn't get invited to go to dad's birthday dinner that night because my mom just exaggerated the whole thing.
I am
This
so
kind of stuff
sorry.
I grew up with, you
That
know.
makes me furious for you that your own mom, but if
Oh,
you're popping those little pills, that could have something to do with it too.
yeah. So, like I said, she's just the control, the manipulator. She even tried, her sister and I are more like sisters. And she left the church because she was married for 20 years. He was the bishop and she was the primary president, and they had an affair. And then she was
Oh,
bishop, and the bishop didn't went to the husband, and the husband lied about it and believed the husband over my
whoa. I would love to interview her if she'd ever
yeah.
be
Oh,
open to that.
now she smokes, she drinks, she's been living with this guy for like 15 years. She's in Arizona. And I mean, she still has that family's our forever story. I mean, she just constantly, I think they've been divorced since 90 in the 90s. And it's just so interesting how that story still comes up. Her family, her kids won't hardly talk to her because she's,
Isn't it awful that people make mistakes, but yet what I've learned is people make mistakes because something isn't right to begin with. And they either take the path. I like to call them your choices algorithms because they really are. I mean,
yeah,
if people, and then if people are always ganging up on you or whatever, of course you're going to start going down the wrong path. But as long as you can bring it back, I mean, we're all sinners. If I hear one person say and act like from the Mormon church that they are not a sinner, let me tell you, I'm just going to say this, and a lot of people will agree during this great awakening for you to actually like rebuke your, like, just not talk to your own family, you're a sinner. It's
no,
that simple. I got to our real creator would never want that. And he never, Jim Caviezel, I'll never forget. It's stuck in my mind. He did a great clip from Angel Studios, and he just said, you know what? Jesus is really mad that there's corporate church out there. He's really mad at that. And that people need to let that sink within them.
right.
Do you feel
Well,
the same way? I mean, think about that.
I think for me, being an intuitive coach, this is what I help with those people's stories that have been told in the church. But this is what I really want to share about how I could walk away without being angry and deceitful and
Yeah.
whatever it was. Before we came, this is my belief, take it or leave it. Before we came down here, we had contracts, and we had contracts with these people. I needed them to do this for me to make me be who I am today.
It's all a game. It's
They,
literally the game of life.
they loved me enough to do that. So instead of having hate and betrayal and in me, I have love for them.
Yeah, you
Because
pray for them.
I am who I am because of what I went through with those people and the church.
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
have a hard time when I see a temple in a church. My gut still cringes. We have a church right behind us, and I wasn't going to buy our house, but everything in my mind, gut told me this was our house. Well, as
Yeah.
my husband being a shaman, he has been able to block that energy that I don't feel anything from that church right there. And this
That's
church has
awesome.
covering them. If you look at any other church, there's not hardly any trees. This one's covered in trees. So
Hmm.
that blocked energy too. But so it still is a trigger.
Interesting.
We went to Ogden and it was lit up, the temple, and Larry's like, "What's that?" And I go, "What do you think that is?" I go, "It's the temple." I still have that. He's, "Oh, I should have known." Like, yeah,
Oh,
right there, all white and bright
you,
is
can I just tell you though, honestly, I am so proud of you for sharing your story because the people I've been interviewing, they're my kind of people too. And I'm open to everyone. I've never been a judger of anyone, but what I know and hear is I don't want someone else judging me without even knowing me. You know what I mean? As long as you're a good, kind person and you're helping out and so forth, like those, I get that, and I get that in religion, but I just can't wrap my head around the whole concept of people alienating the people that they have memories with. How can you just pick up and just, once they go on, they start asking questions in their head? You know what I mean? How, but I'm learning so much about the religion itself. It really does seem like it's a brainwashing tool. Not that the original whatever, I'm not dissing religion in any way. I just want people to know. But what I have found is, in every esoteric religion, I mean, they prophesized about what we're in right now. Yet there's so many people just walking around, not even having a clue what's really going on. And I just find that, how can I put it? It breaks my heart that they have been lied to about so many things when it's always been right in here. You got to break it down and let it in. You don't need to go to a church. The church and the kingdom of God is right here within each and every one of us.
Well, when I
So,
studied Joseph Smith, what I found with him is that he was metaphysical. He wanted to go down that metaphysical, but the people wanted the religion. So
correct.
that struggled so much with all the stuff that he went through because he wanted to be the but they weren't ready. The people weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
It was interesting when we moved back here, and my husband, shaman, and he has Melchizedek. He holds the Melchizedek priest or what. So, and we told my
Really?
it's not the church. Melchizedek is not the Mormon church.
People
I mean,
need people need to listen to the Jesus Strand 1 and 2. Have you heard of that?
no, I'll have to listen to
I
that.
would encourage you to look it up. It talks about the Christ bloodline and family members that, like, this is true, documented, that they don't really want people to
Right.
give it a
Well,
listen to. It's
yeah, yeah.
fascinating.
Poor Larry doesn't understand this. He says, "You can't hold the Melchizedek priest. That's blasphemy. You're going to hell." And Larry's looking at me like, "Who the hell is this man?" Because he's so metaphysical and spiritual and has all these modalities. And that was part of going and studying for the Melchizedek. And I said, "Not in the church. It's given to you." He goes, "You don't study?" And I'm like, "No, it's given to you in the laying on of hands." And it's like Larry says, the more I hear about this church, he says, "I just cannot believe this." He's
Mhm.
an electrician and he runs jobs. And these people that work underneath him and the stories they tell him, he just says, he kind of did the Catholic thing because his first wife wanted to get married in that church. So he had to do that. But he says, "I've never seen anything like this in all of my experience and being everywhere." So, yeah. So it's been fun to
Wow.
live here.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're back.
So, yeah.
So where, if you have any advice that you could give to someone considering leaving the church, or, you know, what advice would you give them?
To do what they want to do, not get into the stories of what you were told it's going to happen if you leave. Go into
Because
your
isn't it each our own story?
exact. I mean, when we came into this world, we didn't have a story. We were born
Correct.
new births, and it was the church and the teachers and your parents told you these stories. And this is
Mhm.
what I work with my clients is getting rid of those stories. Is this my story or is it theirs? All this is not
Wow.
serving me anymore. So look at the stories of what the church taught you or told you. Does that resonate with you anymore? Then
Mhm.
why is it serving you to continue to do this? That's what I
Yeah.
ask yourself. Why is this serving me with everything in my being telling me that's wrong? You have to ask yourself,
Yeah.
why serve me? Are you ready to let go of it? And this is what I do with my clients. Are you ready to let go of this and move on? Oh, yeah. Well, then let's do it. It's time.
I love it. I love it. And again, it's not dissing religion in general. It's that feeling of so many rules that you just can't even breathe. And the way I feel is, we're like this perfect creation that literally has been infiltrated in so many different ways through our poisonous products. And, I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, that's crazy. Well, the FDA wouldn't want us to be poisoned." Well, you need to go down the rabbit hole on that, because The last time I checked, when you're near bleach, bleach isn't good, yet you're jumping in a pool of bleach. I mean, it's like these common sense little things, you know? It's like putting our food in plastic. Plastic is a chemical. No wonder why people are getting sick. But people are overlooking that. What I have found is people are overlooking these common sense things, and just that whole, it's just the way that it is. Oh, it's fine. Like, I'm finding more and more people are asking questions to all of this. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're all supposed to be, I just
Right.
spit, but I get so passionate about this because we're supposed to be asking questions. When we feel it and we hear it, we're supposed to be asking questions. Stop doing what everyone else is telling you to do. The kingdom is right in here. Listen to it. I mean, do you feel the same way? It's like, come on, shit or get off the pot. Like, it's gonna feel good when you shit and get off the pot,
Um,
right?
So, like I said, after that, my whole life changed for the better.
That's awesome. And you have your people, and you have your own family, you considered family. And I'm learning that family isn't, just blood. It's the new people that have been entering your life for a
Okay.
reason. And I think so many people are feeling that now, they're feeling like there's something about this person. So I think we're gonna hit it off. And ooh, it's those people that aren't judgmental, and you know and
But
also I
oh, go ahead.
yep, I feel like a lot, especially a lot of these women that I'm finding and interviewing in the church, is they're feeling shamed. They're feeling shamed. They're feeling like they got taken for a ride. I mean, because I can almost guarantee any woman that has left the church or considering leaving the church has felt this aloneness in their head. Yet when you go to the Mormon church, you're supposed to feel like family, but there's still something missing and they can't put their finger on it.
Yep,
Would you agree with that statement?
I do. And I remember even going back to the church, I'd be sitting in church saying, I'm not here for the people. I'm not here for the people. I'm here because I like what I feel when I come here. I'm not here for the people. I'm not here for the people
You're here
because
to listen to what the message is, not, yeah.
or leave it. So I did that, and being single a lot because I was single most of the time I was in the church. Then I'm not really accepted either because
You're
there's
saying,
couples, doing stuff together and their families. And I had a hard time making friends out here because even the women, they go to their kids and their grandkids and whatever. And
yeah.
so I have a family, which I did not. I had no one. I was very lonely out here
It's
because I
hard. It's hard.
so yeah.
But you
How
know
about
what? Do you feel like that aloneness for so long? And that's another trait that I'm starting to find when I interview people, is that aloneness. As horrible as it feels, looking back on it now, do you feel like you needed that aloneness time to just chunk away at certain things that have brought you full circle to here? As painful as it was, if that makes sense.
I guess for me, it's loneliness that it's what you're talking is different than my loneliness. I'm an outgoing person. I'm a people person. I'm
I can
friends,
tell.
whatever. So when you don't have that, the loneliness was just having fun, you know,
Yeah. Yep.
you know, that's what I felt because I like to have, and I used to have in Florida, we had a pool. I lived on the beach. We had parties. I was that party person. We had pool
I
parties.
love
Then
it.
I had it out here for a while, but then again, it's like you just really don't have that friends, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I needed
Your
the fun.
tribe, your tribe.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. So it
Yep.
was within because I've always been really good with myself because I've had this gift and I've always
Yeah.
I heal it. Something comes up, I heal it. I very quickly to heal. People used to love working with me as healers because I would release this. I mean, Larry, oh, we're going to be in here for an hour. 15 minutes later, I'm done. He's like, forget. God, you just
You're
go.
good. You're that good. I love it. But
I will.
that's
When I'm
Keliann, if I can just interject here, what I'm also finding is a lot of people are taking a spiritual route. And I'm not talking about the kind that is portrayed in your entertainment. See, what I've learned, and I've done my research on this, is what I've learned is through our entertainment, like that new movie with Kelsey Grammer, was it Jesus Revolution? very, very well done. Great movie. But they want people to laugh at the people that feel just like how you explained, like you felt free. People don't understand that feeling. And what I've also found is a lot of people that have gone the spiritual route, they're not looking to like be like, hey, come join us. It's not another brainwashing thing like in, corporate religion. Like people really are just like, seriously, I'm going to accept you the way that you are, just the way that you are, and I'm not going to judge. And it is such a relief that you don't have to be on your best behavior and you can just be yourself.
Yep.
And I think that Utah is, I think there's starting to be a big spiritual awakening around the Mormon church here, and I'm here to kind of as an outsider, realizing when things just don't feel right, kind of bring it to the surface, because that's what I'm here to do. I already know that.
Right. And you're questioning and telling them it's okay to question, giving them permission to question it.
Yes, instead of always being told what to do. When I think of being told what to do, I think of that Pink Floyd song. We don't need no it. But there's duality. I can't wait till people find out their music is a programming tool.
Yep.
And that's why that we have everything that's called a program. We have software programs, we've got TV programs. Like,
Right.
I'm encouraging people to expand their minds. I mean, just go to our own government's official website on all the files that were released. They're real programs. And they
Right.
were there to show you our way instead of you and I, our way. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. I hear that. Yep.
Yeah. Loud and clear. I love your energy. So listen, where's a good place that people can find you? I would love it if people feel comfortable reaching out to you with your story, and maybe you could give them some word, some personal one-on-one. Like, this is how I felt. Here's
Well,
some
I phone number. I don't have a problem giving that out.
Go for it.
So my phone number is 801-580-5066. Text, call, I don't work. I'm usually available at all times. And so, yeah, reach out, go on to
You're on Facebook
on Facebook too.
under, what's
It's
your,
Kelly Crockett, and Keliann spelled different. It's Keliann, and it's just the Crockett.
like
And
Davy?
on that, I'm on a lot of probably the groups out here of all the Utah Mystics and Socialists, Salt Lake and all that. So yeah. And I'm a healer, I'm a coach, my husband's a shaman, and we work together, we do shamanic journeys.
I
And
love that. I love hearing that, because what I've also found is a lot of people thought that was, I hate the term, and I am going to say I'm going to say hate, or I'm not going to say hate. I just don't like it, where people take the term shaman and they put woohoo next to it. I'm tired of hearing woohoo. It's very real. This is how they healed people back in the day before they had synthetic shit in our bodies. And people wonder why they're always getting sick all the time and this and that. I mean, I try my best to, use things on my body that don't have dioxides and this and that and so forth. But it's very, very real. And when people can actually expand their mind, okay, let's just forget we ever had doctors. Who were the people we went to when something happened? It's that simple. It's that
well,
simple. And
Larry
it's
has,
coming back. It's coming back, and it's going to come back big time. It's already rising everywhere. I
and
see
he's
people. Yep.
and they came off of kidney dialysis. And so he goes in and he heals. And when your body's in dis-ease, it's because it's emotional. Let's go and get that emotional. Let's get it out. You choose to bring this stuff in, and he can read that. And he's worked on, I mean, I had chronic UTIs when we first got together, and we went in, we found out what the emotion was behind it. We got it and we cleared it. And I haven't had one in 8 years. And
That's
so
awesome. It's so real. I love that you're sharing this, because honestly, and I've shared this a couple times in my other interviews, but I can't say enough about it, is meditation alone. That's one thing it is growing and growing off the charts. Here's the thing that I like to use an example of is what I'm finding is people just want to be like someone else. They want to be the people in Hollywood and these big corporate bigwigs. But guess what? These big corporate bigwigs, you know how they start their mornings, people? They start with meditation because they literally, when you can get in that zone, everything flows more. You don't have as much clutter in your head and you think freely. You can get way more done. But I ended up going through menopause pretty early in my life. And I'm going to say this openly, and you're going to love this because I'm calling bullshit on a lot of things. So my mother, my mom both passed from breast cancer, and my mom's mom had breast cancer. She survived. She had a mastectomy. She lived to like 90 something years old. However, here's the thing that I have learned, and I'm going to say this, and so when the Angelina Jolie news came out, do you remember when she ended up getting I did that. I did a local, my doctor, he was my mom and my aunt's doctor. I had the surgery and I felt great after. I did it because I thought that I didn't want to keep worrying the rest of my life, like so many women, like, oh my gosh, when am I going to get it? Am I going to start feeling sick? How much longer do I have? This sucks, blah, blah, blah. Well, what happened to me, Keliann, is literally about a year and a half after, it scared the shit out of me, where all of a sudden I'm starting to get hot flashes, cold flashes. I couldn't remember things anymore. I was having massive stomach issues. My eyesight was awful. I couldn't barely read. And what I'm finding now is they do not perform mastectomies in other countries because what they do know is that it actually does mess with women's hormones. And these evil pieces of shit know exactly maybe not all doctors know this, but the ones that invented this type of procedure knows exactly what they're doing. And I kept going to my doctor. My mom was a nurse, so my mom, she was my go-to. So I was all alone in my own head. It's no different than someone in the church or whatever feeling that aloneness. Like you just don't feel like you can talk to anyone because they think you're going to be crazy for thinking these things. But sure enough, every time I went, no, there seems to be no evidence. There seems to be no evidence. Well, come to find out, I found a holistic doctor. She was mainstream back in New Hampshire. She's the one that told me, she goes, Sharon, they stripped all your hormones out. That's exactly what they don't want to tell you is once you strip your hormones out or you start pumping it with artificial bullshit, that your body's going to go through this. But yet they don't disclose it like all your evil commercials on it. Could cause blood clots. It could give you a heart attack. But it's going to cure your headache. So as long as you're okay with all these side effects, because we told you it's okay, when really we all know that literally a pharmaceutical rep is coming in and they're all getting kickbacks. Don't get me going. It's no different than other things, if you know what I mean. But my point is I legit was going crazy in my own mind. And I even took a clip. There's a doctor that was on Fox News probably about, I don't know, 8 months ago. He even openly admitted it right on TV that is the same surgery. A mastectomy is the same surgery they want to give little girls who want to be boys. And now this is how sick and twisted it is. If they already know that there's a huge chance that this is going to happen, that kid cannot be saved. That kid is going to go through such aloneness already. Never mind being different and wanting to be different, but then going through that and they know it. Talk about psychological warfare. That's messed up. And I did finally, I asked them, stupid me, I allowed them to brainwash me for so many years. I didn't really look it up for a long time until finally I'm like, all right, just give me a blood test then. Let me know where my hormone levels up. Sure enough, I was right. Sure enough. I'm like, so you're just trying to say, and it makes me angry. It makes me so furious that they have all this documentation that stuff can happen. And they play on our fear that we're going to get sick, but yet they don't tell you. If it was up to me, I mean, I'm actually glad that I survived it. I mean, now I incorporated meditation, and I took some natural supplements, and people can look at my other videos on the thing that I did. It's the easiest thing. It's like $30 a month. I'm like, oh, isn't that Pete better than going to my doctor all the time and pumping all this synthetic stuff in my body that really doesn't even belong? And I mean, it's really common sense, guys. I mean, our bodies, I could go on and on about this, and I'd love to talk to your husband, but think about this, like, they literally brainwash you to think that all this synthetic chemical stuff is okay for your body. But when you think about how it's literally building up in your body over time, no wonder why you're getting sick. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm really frustrated that I did that interview back in New Hampshire. It was on WMUR. It said something about did the same surgery as Angelina Jolie. Well, now I felt like a fraud after that once I went through that. So now I'm just correcting it, ladies. Like, the stuff is real. And I've become very good friends with the woman out here. And this just goes to prove what your husband does as well is she went down the rabbit hole. She was diagnosed, and she's still young. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was like, I refuse to go through all that pain and torture like I saw my mom and other people go through. I mean, chemo is not fun to watch people go through that. It's torture. But I think they get off on it. That's a whole nother story. But my point is it's just, so she did tons and tons of research through shamans and so forth. She healed herself it was all natural, and she looks freaking fantastic. And I'm so proud of her that she just honestly listened within going, no, something doesn't sound right. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? And you must be so proud of your husband for standing in his own truth and wisdom and literally helping people, because when people find out that they pay way less going through a shaman and holistic doctors than all of these big, huge. Now, I know I sound crazy to a lot of people going, Sharon, that is just the most sick, horrible thing. But no, once you end up opening your mind and you start researching a lot of these things that they've been doing to our bodies, they'll have a big, great awakening on that in itself. Right?
Yep, totally.
Awesome. Is there a place that people can find your husband as well?
Come through me. I do all of his scheduling. I do everything. I do his PR and everything
I
because
love it.
that's what I kind of do. That's kind of my job, is taking care of there and telling people who we are.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to thank you for sharing your story, because I already know, and I think you can feel it too. More and more people, that all of a sudden the floodgates are going to open on people watching these interviews. And if you know anyone that wants to share their story in leaving the Mormon church, I would be honored, because what I feel like is it's that one special guest with that one special message that someone can resonate. And what I'm finding is a lot of the people that I'm interviewing are more than happy and honored to talk to someone that's going through it. Doesn't mean that, it's just they're there to talk to them without being judged or like, oh, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like it's just such a nice feeling. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you.
I came to because you put it out there, and all I put in the comment is pick me, and then I just let it go. I'm just laughing.
You're like, let it manifest, and here we are. It manifested. And that stuff's true too. I love it. Like, people that are truly, oh my gosh, Keliann, we could talk on and on, but that's another thing. Don't you feel like people that are literally awakening and realizing what's happening in this world? Now I understand why so many people, I've always heard over my whole life that foreigners or Americans that go to other countries, they look at us like we're the biggest idiots because, and I don't mean to be white people, but literally we have been so brainwashed to think that we are just so more important and arrogant, and we drive fancy. No, that's why they're laughing at us, because people like that have fallen for it, that they don't live within here. They live within materialistic means. And that's not the way.
Integrity.
Yep. Well, you were awesome, Keliann. I appreciate you. And I know we're going to be staying in touch. So before I wrap it up, I just wanted to encourage any of you, any of these interviews, please share them with your friends that may be considering leaving the church. Someone you know that's been literally struggling within. And if you know of someone that you feel has such an amazing story that would resonate with other people's, so they know that they are not alone, please reach out to me because I am on a mission to stir it up around here. I'm gonna tread lightly, but I'm gonna get the point across. And also I'd love to encourage you, myself and another woman. We are starting a group called it's called on Facebook Spiritual Think Tank. And what it is basically people that are awakening, realizing we don't really need big government that takes all our money and we never know what's happening. And we always have all these rules and so forth. And you see people that are homeless and people struggling with drug problems and all that. It's a think tank. It's a place where all of us can start figuring out how to solve the problems within our own community, having great, great ideas to spread it. I mean, it's going to be beautiful and I can't wait. It's totally manifesting. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, I'm happy it needed to be done. So this is your calling. And I'm grateful that you stood up and listened to it. So very,
Thank
very.
you. I'm listening to it. That's why I'm doing it. I'm not even making a cent or anything. This is my hobby. I'm intrigued. And another thing I'll be sharing is how people can decode their entertainment, because when I have literally shown people how to use gematria and numerology, like just put your name in. Start with your name, where you used to live, your birth date and all that. And when people will realize that everything has been scripted, and I know it sounds crazy, it's all being scripted. God spoke in numbers in every esoteric religion. They talk about it. So it's not woohoo. So we're going to stop that woohoo talk. But I mean, it was fascinating stuff. I'm like, it's literally the big guy upstairs is leaving us messages. It's crazy how it works. But when people can connect the dots and go back, people are going to start using their entertainment. They're going to go back and they're going to start going, oh my gosh, I never noticed this in there. Oh, I'm listening. I'm not watching their tone and I'm just listening. And oh my gosh, I can't believe they just said that. And they laughed after it. I mean, it's really messed up. It's really messed up, but I digress. Well, thank you, Keliann. You have a wonderful day and we will be in touch.
All right. I love you.
I love you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.